Commander Vex'thara of the Galactic Academy stared at the readouts on her holographic display. All four of her eye stalks twitching in what could only be described as profound disbelief. The data couldn't be right. It simply couldn't be. No species in the known galaxy could survive on Hoth-VII, let alone treat it like some kind of recreational vacation spot. Computer, run diagnostic on all sensors, she commanded, her voice carrying the weight of someone who had witnessed the impossible far too many times in her 30-year career. All systems functioning within normal parameters. Commander, the AI replied with that insufferably cheerful tone that made her want to throw something expensive at the nearest wall. Vex'thara's mandibles clicked in frustration. The human cadets, those walking disasters from the third spiral arm, had been deployed to Hoth-VII exactly 72 hours ago. The mission was supposed to be a simple survival exercise, designed to last no more than 6 hours before emergency extraction. Most species couldn't handle the moon's surface temperature of -140 degrees Celsius for more than 15 minutes, even with full environmental suits. The humans? They were asking for an extension, Commander. Lieutenant Andra burst through the command center doors, her usually pristine uniform disheveled and her breathing apparatus fogging with excitement. You need to see this transmission from the surface team. The main screen flickered to life, revealing a scene that would haunt Vex'thara's dreams for cycles to come. 5 human cadets stood in what could only be described as a winter wonderland from the depths of her nightmares. Ice crystals the size of starships jutted from the ground like frozen daggers, while winds that could strip paint from a battle cruiser howled across the barren landscape. And the humans? They were laughing. "Hey there, Academy Command," called out Marcus Kane, the apparent leader of this group of lunatics. His face was visible through his helmet's visor, cheeks flushed pink with what their medical files indicated was something called cold weather exhilaration. "We're having an absolutely fantastic time down here. This place reminds me of my grandmother's cabin back on Earth during winter break." Vex'thara's third stomach dropped. His grandmother's cabin? This was a death world that had claimed the lives of 17 survey teams from 6 different species. "Kane, report on your team's status," she managed to croak through her translator unit. "Oh, we're brilliant, Commander. Riley found some interesting ice formations that are perfect for what humans call sledding. And James here has been testing the structural integrity of these ice caves for potential shelter construction. Lisa discovered that the local wind patterns are ideal for something we like to call extreme skiing. And Tommy's been documenting the local geology for his thesis on impossible terrain navigation." The camera panned to show Riley Martinez, a human female who appeared to be using her emergency beacon as a makeshift sled down a slope that would challenge a professional mountain climber. Her delighted shrieks of joy echoed through the comm system as she disappeared into what looked like a certain death ravine. "Martinez. Status report." Vex'thara's voice cracked with the strain of maintaining professional composure. "Commander, this is amazing." Riley's voice crackled through the comm as she emerged from the ravine, somehow completely unharmed and covered in what appeared to be frozen methane snow. "The gravitational coefficient combined with the ice density creates perfect conditions for velocity-based recreational activities. We should totally make this an official academy training ground." Meanwhile, James Potter had somehow managed to construct what looked like a functional shelter out of ice blocks, complete with ventilation systems and what appeared to be decorative elements. The structure would have impressed engineers from the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy, and he had built it with nothing more than a standard emergency kit, and apparently, his bare hands. "Ends, Potter. Explain your construction methodology," Vex'thara demanded, her scientific curiosity overriding her growing panic. "Well, Commander, it's really quite simple," James replied, his breath visible in the frigid air as he gestured enthusiastically at his creation. "The ice here has incredible compressive strength, and the ambient temperature ensures perfect structural integrity. I just applied some basic principles I learned building snow forts as a kid back in Minnesota, though I have to say, the methane deposits add some interesting challenges to the foundation work." Snow forts. He was comparing Deathworld survival construction to childhood play activities. Lisa Chen, no. Lisa Peterson. Vex'thara corrected herself. Checking the roster had meanwhile discovered what she enthusiastically described as the most epic ski slope in the galaxy. The slope in question was a 45-degree decline that ended in a field of ice spikes that would make a medieval torture chamber look like a playground. Peterson, that terrain is classified as impassable by all known species, Vex'thara stated firmly. Oh, it's definitely challenging. Lisa called back, already strapping improvised skis to her boots using emergency rope and metal fragments from her kit. But the powder here is absolutely perfect, and the visibility is surprisingly good once you adjust for the atmospheric interference. I'm thinking we could set up a whole winter sports complex here. She pushed off before anyone could stop her, racing down the slope with what could only be described as suicidal enthusiasm. The camera followed her descent as she navigated around obstacles that would destroy a military vehicle, performing maneuvers that defied several laws of physics, and somehow managing to come to a controlled stop at the bottom of the run. Woohoo! Her triumphant shout echoed across the frozen wasteland. That was better than Aspen. Can I go again? Tommy Williams, the final member of this group of apparent immortals, had been quietly documenting everything with his field recorder. His commentary provided a running narrative that made Vex'thara's blood run cold. The surface composition here is fascinating, he noted casually, as if he wasn't standing on a moon that had been classified as uninhabitable by every major galactic authority. The methane water-ice mixture creates unique crystal formations that would be perfect for architectural applications. The wind patterns, while initially challenging, follow predictable meteorological principles that could be easily adapted for industrial atmospheric processing. He paused to chip off a sample of ice with his multi-tool, seemingly oblivious to the fact that the same ice had been responsible for destroying 3 different drilling operations. The ambient radiation levels are actually quite manageable, he continued, well within acceptable parameters for long-term human habitation. I'm thinking this could be an ideal location for a research station, maybe even a recreational facility. Vex'thara's translator unit began making alarming beeping sounds, indicating that her stress levels were approaching dangerous territories. All cadets, return to the extraction point immediately, she ordered, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had seen too many impossible things in one day. "Aw, come on, Commander," Marcus protested, and she could hear the disappointment in his voice. "We've got at least another 6 hours of daylight, and Tommy wants to explore those cave systems we spotted earlier. Plus, Lisa thinks she can map out a whole network of ski trails, and James wants to build a proper base camp." Base camp. Vex'thara's voice rose an octave, causing several nearby officers to look up from their workstations in concern. "Yeah, he's got plans for a full winter lodge," Riley added enthusiastically, complete with heating systems, food preparation areas, and recreational facilities. "He says it would be perfect for academy training exercises." The camera showed James sketching detailed architectural plans on his tablet, apparently completely unfazed by the howling winds and sub-zero temperatures that surrounded him. "The structural engineering possibilities here are incredible," he explained, looking up from his drawings. "The natural ice formations provide excellent building materials, and the stable temperature means we wouldn't have to worry about thermal expansion issues. I could probably have a basic facility operational within a few days." "Days?" Vex'thara repeated weakly. "Well, maybe a week if we want to include luxury amenities like heated floors and observation decks," James clarified helpfully. Lieutenant Kyuxandra leaned over to whisper in Vex'thara's ear, "Commander, should we initiate emergency extraction protocols?" Vex'thara watched as the 5 human cadets continued their impossible activities on the surface of a moon that should have killed them 3 times over. Riley was now teaching Lisa some kind of sliding technique that involved using ice formations as ramps. Marcus was documenting local weather patterns with the casual interest of someone checking tomorrow's forecast. Tommy had discovered what he described as absolutely gorgeous ice caves that previous surveys had classified as certain death traps, and James was actually improving his shelter design. adding what appeared to be architectural flourishes purely for aesthetic purposes. "Commander, we're getting some interesting readings from the atmospheric sensors," Tommy called out, completely oblivious to the growing panic in the command center. "The local weather patterns suggest we might see some kind of ice storm later tonight. Should make for some spectacular meteorological observation opportunities. An ice storm." They were excited about an ice storm on a Deathworld. "All cadets, this is a direct order," Vex'thara announced, her voice carrying the full weight of her authority. "Return to the extraction point within the next 30 minutes for immediate evacuation." "But Commander," Marcus protested, "we haven't even started exploring the really interesting areas yet. There's this whole mountain range about 10 kilometers north that Tommy thinks might have some unique geological formations. And the wind patterns suggest there might be some amazing skiing opportunities on the far side of the valley," Lisa added. "Plus, I want to test the structural integrity of these ice formations under different load conditions," James chimed in. "For scientific purposes, of course." Riley's voice crackled through the comm system from somewhere in the distance. "Hey guys, you have to see this. I found what looks like a natural ice slide that goes down for at least half a kilometer. It's like a frozen water park." Vex'thara closed her eyes and counted to 10 in 3 different languages. When she opened them again, the humans were still there, still alive, and still treating one of the most dangerous environments in the galaxy like it was some kind of recreational paradise. "Commander," Alexandra whispered urgently, "the Academy Board is requesting a full report on the human cadets' survival exercise. They're particularly interested in the extended timeline and the unusual mission parameters." "Unusual mission parameters," Vex'thara repeated flatly. "Tell them the humans have redefined our entire understanding of survival training." On the screen, the 5 cadets had gathered around James's shelter, sharing what appeared to be hot beverages prepared using their emergency rations and melted ice from the surrounding terrain. They were laughing, talking, and generally behaving like they were at some kind of social gathering, rather than fighting for survival on a hostile alien world. "You know what this place needs?" Marcus said, gesturing at the frozen landscape around them. "A hot chocolate stand. And maybe some kind of equipment rental facility," Lisa added thoughtfully. "I bet a lot of species would love to experience this kind of terrain if they had the right gear." "We could set up guided tours," Riley suggested enthusiastically. "Imagine the educational value. Students from across the galaxy could come here to learn about extreme environment adaptation." Tommy nodded thoughtfully. "The research opportunities alone would be incredible. This could become a premier academic facility." "I'm already working on expansion plans for the shelter," James announced, pulling out his tablet again. "I'm thinking we could accommodate at least 20 researchers initially, with expansion capabilities for larger groups." Vex'thara's mandibles clicked in a rhythm that her species typically reserved for moments of complete psychological breakdown. The humans weren't just surviving on Hoth-VII, they were making vacation plans. "Commander," her communications officer called out, "we're receiving a priority transmission from Galactic Academy headquarters. They want to know if the human survival exercise can be extended to a full week." "Extended?" Vex'thara's voice cracked like breaking ice. "Apparently the preliminary reports have impressed the Academy Board. They're considering implementing similar training protocols for other species." On the screen, the humans had begun what appeared to be some kind of recreational activity involving throwing chunks of ice at improvised targets. Their laughter echoed across the frozen wasteland, a sound that should have been impossible in an environment designed to kill anything that dared to venture onto its surface. "Commander Kane," Vex'thara said, her voice barely above a whisper, "request permission to establish a permanent research station on Hoth-VII." "Permission granted," Marcus replied immediately, his enthusiasm clearly audible even through the atmospheric interference. "This place has incredible potential. We could revolutionize cold weather training for the entire academy." Vex'thara stared at the screen for a long moment, watching as 5 human cadets continued to treat a certified Deathworld like their personal winter vacation resort. Somewhere in the back of her mind, she wondered if perhaps it was time to update the Academy's classification system for hostile environments. After all, what exactly constituted a death world when humans were involved? The question would haunt her for the rest of her career. 3 days later, Vex'thara stood in the Academy's main conference hall, facing a tribunal of the galaxy's most distinguished educators and military officials. The holographic displays around her showed footage that had already gone viral across 17 different star systems. Humans skiing down glacial death slopes, humans building architectural marvels out of frozen methane, humans laughing in the face of atmospheric conditions that would liquefy most known species. Commander Vex'thara, spoke Admiral Keth Knox, his massive cephalopod form undulating with barely contained incredulity. Please explain to this tribunal how 5 untrained human cadets managed to not only survive on Hoth-VII, but actually requested extended recreational time. Vex'thara's eye stalks drooped with exhaustion. She hadn't slept properly since the humans had turned her carefully planned survival exercise into what they called the best winter vacation ever. Honored Admiral, she began, her voice carrying the weariness of someone who had witnessed the impossible. The human cadets displayed capabilities that exceed all known parameters for cold weather survival. Capabilities? General Vex'thara's crystalline structure chimed with skepticism. Commander, according to these reports, one of them built a recreational facility using nothing but emergency supplies and frozen atmospheric gases. That would be Cadet James Potter, Vex'thara confirmed, pulling up the relevant footage. He constructed what humans apparently call a winter lodge complete with heating systems, food preparation areas, and entertainment facilities. The tribunal watched in stunned silence as the recording showed James adding decorative ice sculptures to his already impressive structure. The human was humming what his species called music while carving intricate patterns into walls that should have been structurally impossible. And this one? Admiral Keth Knox gestured at footage of Riley Martinez surfing down an avalanche using what appeared to be a piece of debris from their landing pod. Cadet Riley Martinez, Vex'thara replied, her translator unit struggling to process her emotional state. She discovered that the local avalanche patterns could be used for what humans term extreme sports. She spent 4 hours riding natural disasters for recreational purposes. The footage continued, showing Riley whooping with joy as she navigated through ice formations that had been classified as navigation hazards for military-grade vehicles. "This is physically impossible," declared Dr. Vex'thara, the Academy's leading expert on hostile environment survival. The gravitational forces alone should have crushed her internal organs. Apparently humans have something called adrenaline, Vex'thara explained weakly. It seems to make them stronger, faster, and significantly more resistant to death when they're enjoying themselves. The tribunal exchanged glances that spoke volumes about their collective sanity. "Continue with your report," Admiral Keth Knox commanded. Vex'thara activated another holographic display showing Lisa Peterson performing what could only be described as aerial acrobatics on improvised skis made from emergency equipment. Cadet Lisa Peterson spent considerable time mapping potential ski slopes across the moon's surface, she continued. She identified over 40 different routes that she classified as ranging from beginner-friendly to absolutely insane. Her words, not mine. Beginner-friendly? General Vex'thara's chimes rose to a pitch that indicated extreme distress. "Commander, that terrain is rated as Class IX hostile. We use it to test military assault vehicles." "Yes, well, apparently human children learn to navigate similar terrain for fun," Vex'thara replied, her voice flat with defeat. Lisa mentioned something about black diamond slopes and double black diamond runs as if these were common recreational categories. The recording showed Lisa performing a maneuver that defied several laws of physics, spinning through the air before landing gracefully on a slope that would challenge a professional stunt pilot. "What about the other 2 cadets?" Dr. Vex'thara inquired, though her tone suggested she wasn't sure she wanted to know. Cadet Tommy Williams conducted what he described as the most comprehensive geological survey in Academy history, Vex'thara explained. bringing up footage of Tommy cheerfully exploring cave systems that had been marked as certain death on every official survey. He discovered 17 new mineral compositions and mapped underground passages that extend for hundreds of kilometers. The Tribunal watched as Tommy emerged from a cave system, covered in ice and grinning broadly. His field notes, displayed on screen, showed detailed analyses of geological formations that would take most scientific teams years to catalog. And finally, Cadet Marcus Kane, Vex'thara continued, established what he called base camp operations and began planning what he termed the ultimate winter training facility for the entire Galactic Academy. The footage showed Marcus standing in front of a detailed holographic presentation, explaining his vision for transforming Hoth-VII into a multi-species training ground. His enthusiasm was infectious, even through the recording. The atmospheric conditions provide perfect training scenarios for extreme weather operations, Marcus was saying in the recording. The varied terrain offers opportunities for geological study, survival training, and recreational activities that would benefit cadets from across the galaxy. Recreational activities, Admiral Keth Knox repeated slowly, on a death world. Commander. General Vex'thara interjected, what was the human casualty rate during this extended exercise? Vex'thara's mandibles clicked in what her species considered profound embarrassment. 0 casualties, General. In fact, all 5 cadets showed improved physical conditioning and what their medical files indicate was enhanced mood and mental well-being. They got healthier. Dr. Vex'thara's voice rose to a frequency that caused several nearby equipment panels to vibrate sympathetically. Significantly healthier. Vex'thara confirmed. Their cardiovascular systems showed marked improvement, their muscle density increased, and their psychological profiles indicated what human medics call vacation satisfaction levels. The Tribunal fell silent. The only sounds in the massive conference hall were the gentle hum of life support systems and the occasional chirp from recording equipment. Commander, Admiral Keth Knox finally spoke, his voice carrying the weight of someone grappling with paradigm-shifting information. What is your professional recommendation regarding future human involvement in Academy survival training? Vex'thara straightened to her full height, her 4 eye stalks focusing on the Tribunal with renewed determination. Honored Tribunal, she began. After extensive analysis of the human performance on Hoth-VII, I recommend that we completely restructure our understanding of hostile environment classification. Explain, General Vex'thara demanded. What we consider death worlds. Vex'thara continued. Humans consider recreational opportunities. What we classify as survival training, they classify as vacation activities. What we consider impossible terrain, they consider beginner-friendly with proper equipment. She paused, letting the implications sink in. I propose that we establish a new classification system, she announced. Human-suitable environments should be categorized separately from standard galactic parameters. Furthermore, I recommend that Hoth-VII be converted into the Academy's first human-supervised extreme environment training facility. The Tribunal erupted in a cacophony of shocked responses. Admiral Keth Knox's tentacles writhed in agitation. General Vex'thara's crystalline structure resonated with harmonic frequencies that translated roughly to, "Are you completely insane?" Dr. Vex'thara began muttering calculations under her breath. Commander. Admiral Keth Knox's voice cut through the chaos. Are you suggesting that we use humans as survival instructors? Not just instructors. Vex'thara replied, her confidence growing. I'm suggesting that we acknowledge what the evidence clearly demonstrates. Humans don't just survive in hostile environments, they thrive in them. They turn deadly challenges into recreational activities. They see opportunities where other species see certain death. She activated one final holographic display, showing the 5 human cadets working together to expand James's shelter into what could only be described as a proper research station. Look at what they accomplished in just 5 days, she said, gesturing at the impressive structure. They built a facility that could house 20 researchers, established supply chains using local resources, mapped terrain that had defeated our best survey teams, and and documented scientific discoveries that will advance our understanding of extreme environment adaptation. The recording showed the humans sharing meals, telling stories, and planning future expeditions with the enthusiasm of people who had found their calling. And they had fun doing it, Vex'thara added quietly. The tribunal watched as the 5 cadets gathered around a campfire made from controlled chemical reactions, their laughter echoing across the frozen wasteland. They were singing what appeared to be traditional human songs, their voices carrying across the hostile terrain like a declaration of victory over impossible odds. Commander, Dr. Vex'thara spoke slowly. What you're proposing would require us to completely revise our safety protocols, training methodologies, and risk assessment procedures. Yes, Vex'thara agreed. It would also revolutionize academy training and provide opportunities for scientific advancement that we've never considered possible. Admiral Hoth-VII's massive form shifted thoughtfully. The implications are staggering. If humans can treat Class EX hostile environments as recreational facilities, what does that mean for our understanding of galactic exploration? It means, Vex'thara replied, that we've been thinking too small. The tribunal fell silent again, each member processing the magnitude of what they were considering. There's something else, Vex'thara added, activating her final piece of evidence. The humans have submitted a formal proposal. The holographic display showed a comprehensive document titled Hoth-VII Winter Sports and Scientific Research Complex, a joint human galactic academy initiative. They want to establish a permanent facility, she explained, complete with research laboratories, recreational amenities, and training courses designed for multiple species. They've already identified 3 other moons in the system that they believe would be suitable for what they call seasonal training rotations. General Vex'thara's harmonic frequency shifted to something that roughly translated to stunned disbelief. They want to expand, Admiral Hoth-VII stated flatly. They want to build a network of extreme environment training facilities across the galaxy, Vex'thara confirmed. According to their proposal, they believe that proper preparation and human supervision could allow other species to safely experience and learn from environments that were previously considered uninhabitable. The tribunal members exchanged glances that spoke of minds being fundamentally altered by new information. Commander, Admiral Hoth-VII finally said, prepare a full implementation proposal. If the humans can truly deliver on these promises, we may be looking at the most significant advancement in academy training since the institution's founding. And if they can't? General Vex'thara inquired. Vex'thara's eye stalks focused on the image of 5 human cadets celebrating their survival on a world that should have killed them. Then we'll have learned something invaluable about the limits of human capability, she replied, though honestly, I'm not sure such limits exist. 6 months later, the Hoth-VII Winter Sports and Scientific Research Complex officially opened its doors to cadets from across the galaxy. The facility, built primarily by human engineers working in conditions that would challenge military-grade equipment, featured advanced research laboratories, recreational amenities, and training courses designed to safely introduce other species to extreme environment survival. The opening ceremony was attended by representatives from 47 different worlds, all eager to experience what humans had cheerfully dubbed the ultimate winter vacation destination. Commander Vex'thara stood on the observation deck of the main facility, watching as cadets from a dozen different species attempted their first runs down what the humans had designated as bunny slopes terrain that would have been classified as Class HFY hostile under the old system. Commander, Marcus Kane approached, his face flushed with the cold and his expression bright with enthusiasm. The crystalline delegation just completed their first ice climbing session. They're asking if we can arrange for a glacier expedition next week. Vex'thara's mandibles clicked in what had become her new standard response to human-related impossibilities, resigned acceptance mixed with grudging admiration. Approved, she said, watching as a group of methane-breathing cadets successfully navigated what had once been considered an impassable ice field. Just make sure they have proper equipment and human supervision. Always do, Marcus grinned. By the way, the Academy Board approved our proposal for the volcanic moon training facility. Riley's already scouting locations, of course she was. Because apparently once humans had conquered frozen death worlds, the logical next step was to tackle ones that were actively trying to melt them. Excellent, Vex'thara replied, her voice carrying the tone of someone who had learned to expect the impossible. Just remember to file the proper safety reports. Will do, Marcus agreed, then paused. Though I have to ask, do you think we should warn the other species about Riley's idea for lava skiing? Vex'thara looked out at the thriving complex that had once been classified as uninhabitable, watching as cadets from across the galaxy learned to push their limits under human guidance. No, she decided. I think it's time the galaxy learned what humans have always known. What's that? That the impossible is just another word for adventure waiting to happen. Marcus laughed, the sound carrying across the frozen landscape like a promise of more impossibilities to come. And somewhere in the depths of space, the galaxy held its breath, wondering what humans would decide to turn into a recreational activity next.